Hello, welcome or welcome back. Today I am talking about answering the question of should you recreate or recast your specific person when it comes to romantic relationships. This is something that I am working with in my own life, and that's what I am talking about today, so stick around. My name is Hedley Derenzie. I am a qualified life coach and author. I am also super passionate about the amazing teachings of the Law of Assumption as originally taught by the wonderful Neville Goddard. It is the stories we tell that create our life. So if you want to change your life, then you have to change the stories. And if you want to create the most amazing life, then you need to know how to tell the most amazing stories. And that is why I am here. I am a storyteller. I love stories. And thanks to these teachings, I have really come to understand the importance of telling ourselves better stories. So that's what I'm doing in my life, and I want to help you to do the same. If you would like further support with this, I am available for one-to-one coaching or email coaching. Those details are in the box below. Or if you just want to stay connected, I am on Instagram, and you can find me on my page, Hedley Derenzie, and my coaching page, Remember You Are the One. Those details are in the box below as well. Okay, let's get into it. So today I am talking about should you recreate or recast your specific person in romantic relationships? And this is probably relevant if you are in a situation where you're in no contact with your specific person. And when I say specific person, if you are new to these teachings, by specific persons, it could be anyone in your life, but I'm specifically talking about romantic relationships because that's the area that I'm working with in my own life, and I find that that's what most people are working with in their life as well when it comes to specific people. But just keep in mind, that can be anybody in your life. A specific person is essentially a person that is in your life, in your reality, and is in some way important to you. When it comes to the law of assumption and relationships, just in case you are new to these teachings, I'll just go over some of the basics. So consciousness is the one and only reality. Imagination creates reality. By that meaning, whatever we turn our consciousness to is what's going to show up in our 3D reality. And if we want to experience something in our reality, but we haven't experienced it before, that's where we have to engage our imagination to align our consciousness to what it is that we want to experience. So reality is not happening to us. It is our consciousness that informs reality. So we want to be using our imagination to create consciousness, to create what it is that we're focusing on, much more consciously than what we probably have been doing. And that is especially true in relationships because that tends to be where most of our negative stories are active and running, based on our upbringing, really, because it is our upbringings that informs our stories until we reach the age where we become aware of the fact that we're actually the ones writing the story. So in our childhood, when we're young, we're very much driven by the external world. That's how, our survival is based on it. We have to be observant of what's happening in our external world, and we gain information from that, and we look to our caregivers to get a sense of where we are and who we are. However, as we become into adulthood, those stories are no longer relevant, yet they're often still running. So we want to look at the stories that we're still telling, especially when it comes to our relationships, and then change them, because when we change consciousness, when we change what we're focusing on, then our reality will reflect that back. Perhaps not always instantly, but it will, because that's how this works. So one of the questions I've been dealing with in my own life is because, as I said, relationships is my Achilles heel, and I don't want to affirm that because that is the old story, but that is what I am working on. I am working on telling myself better stories about myself, and then also about, for me, it's men. And a lot of my negative stories about men and intimate partners and relationships essentially were informed by my upbringing and the men that were in my life in those early years where my brain was very much in the subconscious mode and just a sponge for information. And so I have to work to change those stories because I am responsible for my reality. With all of these teachings, this is not about fault or blame. It's not necessarily your fault as to what happened to you, but it is your responsibility, especially if you want to experience something new in your reality. So it is up to me, despite what happened, it is up to me to change the stories that I have about myself and about men and about intimate partners. When I came into these teachings, I was actually seeing somebody who came in on the old story, and then they were the catalyst for me finding the law of assumption. So I'm incredibly grateful to this particular person who showed up. But then as things went sour quite quickly, as they tend to do with these old stories, I really had to ask the question of, should I focus on recreating this person or should I bring in somebody new? And for a while I worked on recreating them, but I just couldn't quite get into it because I didn't necessarily think that this person was the one I wanted to be with. And so I decided that I was going to start fresh because I wanted to bring in somebody new on the teachings. So so on the new story, I should say. And that's what I did. So for the next couple of months, I really focused on writing and creating a new story within my consciousness about myself. First and foremost, that's the most important thing. That's your foundation. Your self-concept, the story that you tell about yourself, is the most important story that you will ever tell. And I will link a video that I've shared about that in particular somewhere. I'm not sure where it pops up. Still getting the hang of all of this. And so that is the most important story you would tell. So you want to be telling yourself the story, I am worthy, I am loved, I am deserving, I am chosen, I am enough, I am beautiful, I am intelligent, I am everything that I need to be to receive the love that I want to experience in my life. Whatever the story is, think about what you would want your best friend in the world to think about themselves. That's how you need to speak to yourself. That's the story you need to be telling about yourself. You need to be your absolute best friend in the world and talk to yourself as that best friend. So you want to be really getting a strong self-concept. Then you want to be telling the new story around whatever gender it is that you're interested in, and it is a good idea to understand the story that you are already telling, and you can just have a look at your reality. Your reality will always inform you as to the quality of the stories that you're telling in that particular area of your life. And often the stories that we tell about ourselves or about the other in relationships will come from our initial caregiver of that particular gender. So for me, being a woman interested in men, my stories in relationships will be informed by my father and the experiences that I had with my father in those early formative years. So whatever gender you are interested in, those stories will most likely be informed by your caregivers of that gender. But of course, all of our stories will be informed by all of our caregivers in those early years. We want to then look at changing those stories. So when it comes to the question, should you recreate or recast your specific person in romantic relationships, keeping in mind that you are the producer, the author, the director, and the actor of your movie. However, you're also the casting director. So all the characters and the players that show up in your movie, because this is really just a holographic movie that we're all in, we're all starring in it, in our own movies. You are the casting director. So you get to say who shows up and how they show up based on the script that you're giving them. And the script is the story that you're telling about yourself and about them, because consciousness is the one and only reality. So whatever story you're holding in your consciousness will get reflected back through the people and situations, circumstances that you experience in your life. So if somebody is showing up in your life unfavorably, it's up to you to change the script. And when it comes to romantic partners, you can change the script of them and have them show up differently, or you can essentially write them out of the movie and recast, look for another person. However, with saying that, regardless of what you decide to do, there is no right and wrong. There is actually no answer to that question. It's completely personal choice. You can do whatever you like. You're the god of your reality. You can do whatever the hell you like. You can recreate or recast. It actually doesn't matter. And the reason it doesn't matter is because whatever story you are telling about yourself and about the gender that you're interested in is what will show up, whether it's through a familiar face or whether it's through a new face. So it actually doesn't matter whether you recreate them or recast them, because it is entirely dependent on the story that you are telling. And regardless of who it is, they will simply reflect that back. So for me in my life, I have brought in somebody new on the new story. So since I've been working with the Law of Assumption, I brought in somebody new, and it was amazing for the first little while. They were actually affirming several of the things that I had been affirming in my new story, and I was like, wow, this stuff really works. But I could feel that old story bubbling just beneath the surface. It was really bubbling. I could feel it coming up to the point where eventually things did kind of blow up, and they went from really good to really shitty really fast. And since then, I've been sitting with that question, should I recreate them or recast them? And what I have come to is that I have to be telling myself the new self-concept. So I have to really work on my self-concept first and foremost. And then I have to simply rewrite the story or continue working on that new story that I have about men and intimate partners. And whether this person shows up again in my life or a new person shows up, that will be what happens. And it's actually irrelevant because whoever it is that shows up will be reflecting back that new story. So I'm kind of sitting back watching my own movie going, okay, I wonder what's going to happen here. Is this person going to show back up as the new version that I've written, or is a new person going to show up as this new version that I've written? I don't know. And that's the beauty, because with this, all we have to do is focus on aligning our consciousness with what it is that we want to experience, knowing that the reality will show and reflect that back, but we don't know how that is going to happen or when. And that is the beauty of these teachings and of this physical experience, because we're as much witness to our own movie as we are the star of it and the creator of it. There really is no answer to this question. It's up to you. It's all personal choice. You're the gods of your reality. So you can literally write whatever it is that you want to write, and it will get reflected back into your physical reality. I hope that helps. If you have found this video useful, please feel free to share with family and friends. If you'd like to subscribe to my channel, please do. I'd love to have you, and I will look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks. Bye.